Mic check 1 2.
You sound good to me. Right on. Well, we want to talk into microphones. What do we want to talk about?
And you have to do it for like usually an hour.
At least an hour, yeah.
And when I would do my podcast, I would literally just like word vomit for an hour, and I hated most of my podcasts, but like once a week I would get one that I felt was worth posting.
Right on.
Occasionally.
So it was a numbers game for you then.
Oh yeah, you just throw like a bunch of shit at the wall and you see what doesn't immediately slide down. That was kind of the strategy.
Right on. Well, for the Panda Pod, there's 3 of us, and we all get together and like we talk on Discord beforehand, decide what we're going to talk about, usually a couple days ahead of time. And that way we all come like a little bit prepared and informed for whatever it is we're going to talk about. And interviewing aliens is all about interviews, so that those kind of take care of themselves, whatever the topic or whoever we're talking to, that's the topic, they're controlling things. So
like one of the things that stopped me from recording podcasts for the longest time was I didn't think I was the kind of person who could talk into a microphone for an hour, like without another person.
Mm.
But like I kind of got over that and did it for a while. And now I don't know how to do a podcast with another person. And every time I've tried to do a podcast with another person, it's like the worst podcast ever.
Well, I'm not too concerned about that. I feel like we're on very similar levels as far as, topics that we enjoy. And yeah, I feel like we'll just have lots to talk about.
We have so much to talk about. I don't even know where to start.
I know. I was just thinking that. I was like, so much to talk about.
I mean, Earth is completely like changing. We should talk about is this fucking energy. How about that?
Sure. Yeah, the energy right now is palpable. It's thick. It's not fun energy, IMO. What is your take on the current energy? It is the 28th of February, 2024 right now.
I mean, how do you even put it into words? Like, it is definitely thick. It's chaotic. It's full of emotion. And if I had to, like, put a label on that emotion, I would say, like, something around, like, anger, indignation. Like, I just feel like people are finally starting to realize just, like, just how fake everything is.
Mm-hmm.
Like how literally everything in Western society is literally just like a TV show. Like it's all smoke and mirrors. Nobody's actually an expert, which is lovely for those of us that have always had a disdain for authority. We finally get to see these shitty systems that make no fucking sense just torn down.
Right. Turns out there are no authorities.
Yeah, and it's like you would think, oh yeah, like doctors know what they're doing until you actually like need one, and then you go and you see like 6 doctors and none of them know what the fuck's going on, and then you just have to figure it out for yourself, which has happened to me like a number of times now.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, you just can't just rely on somebody who has a PhD, because it turns out the books you get your PhD from written by human beings who don't know shit. It's not written by God. It's not the Bible. Just a book,
right?
Taught by a professor.
Give us 20 years and all those books will be written by AI. I mean, that's probably a step up. Although, unfortunately, the AI is just, human knowledge regurgitated.
Yeah. And they could already be written by AI. Like
True.
AI is not new. It's just like all this technology that we have now is like 30 or 40 years old. It's just, they're allowing us to have it now. Like they've had cell phone, like handheld computers for probably like 30 or 40 years now.
Sure.
They just gave it to us, not because it's a useful technology for us to have. They literally gave it to us to do what they're doing to us. Spy. To spy, feed us ads, keep track of what we're doing, what we're talking about. They just release this shit as it's convenient for them.
Right. Well, I mean, that's always been the way of things, right? Like, those in power trickle down what they know we will use to stay reliant on them. Does that make sense? That was a weird way to say that. They keep us reliant on them via this trickle of technology that we're made to believe we need to live.
Yeah. And
And
like
then
the
all of
secret,
it is like it's all just spyware. That's all it is.
yeah, like they spend so much time convincing us of all these things that we need when we literally don't need anything.
Yeah.
Like we need nothing, but they're like, no, you need this, you need a car, you need insurance, and you need a job, you need health insurance. You need schools, you need roads, you need this, you need that. And we're going to provide all of it for you for a small fee, of course.
Like at some point in time, there were a bunch of humans living in a place, and they're like, it'd be really nice to have roads. And it'd be really nice to live close to, all these people that I love. And it'd be really nice if I could just, not grow my own food and just walk down and purchase it from somewhere. And then people came along and were like, yeah, we'll give you all of that. We can give you all of that. All you have to do is just surrender all of your liberty. Like, yeah, we could do that. All those things that you want. But you have to pay us an exorbitant amount of money via tax and then follow all the rules that we set. But yeah, you can have all those things.
Yeah, like I like roads, back roads, but I kind of feel like highways are one of the worst things to happen to society. Because then you just like it just turns like the landscape from something you would travel through to something that you just drive over. Like, I kind of feel like that's where like flyover country came from. Now there's just parts of the country where you just drive through it at 80 miles an hour trying to just get past it as quickly as possible, where like maybe in like the 30s or the 40s you would have just driven down these like scenic back roads and actually taken in the countryside and actually stop at a restaurant in a small town or stop at a bed and breakfast in a small town. But now it's just like you just plow straight through as quick as
that
you
was
can.
the dream of the American highway, though, like Route 66,
Yeah, that came from like that older, like our grandparents' generation where like I'm living with my grandmother now, and it's just like everything to them is about convenience. And it's like, did we come to Earth for convenience? Is that why we're here? For everything to be as convenient as possible? To just take our food out of the freezer, stick it in the microwave, and have it ready to go? Like, is that what we came here to do? To find the lowest price in the grocery store?
Yeah, definitely not. Well, I mean, we've really trapped ourselves in a lot of programming as a race.
So much programming.
Yeah. Yeah, the deconditioning is... I think the deconditioning is the whole thing. Like, I think we're here to learn how to decondition, that we're learn how to think for ourselves and I don't know, learn how to not do those things, not be dependent on those things.
Yeah. I mean, to me, it almost seems like when I first got into Awakening, I thought I was going to be learning like all these things, but now that I'm like 3 years into it now, something like that, I feel like more what I'm doing now is just uninstalling spyware. Like I'm getting rid of more than I'm taking in.
Yeah.
Like I'm just trying to get rid of all these shitty programs that I didn't even realize were programs. Like so many things I thought were like a part of reality, but it's like, no, this is just like programming from society, which is so many things.
Yeah, I mean, it is all programming, unlearning. Sorry, like all of a sudden I'm starting to think of like names for the podcast and something about unlearning or deprogramming. Seems like it'd be good to fit in there.
Yeah, I was thinking about the name yesterday.
What have you come up with so far? I really haven't put a whole lot of thought into that. I was like, we'll probably just come up with it when we start talking.
I don't know, maybe like Love Puddle or something. I don't know.
Love Puddle, the Cuddle Puddle Pod,
Love Liquid.
the slop.
Welcome to the trough.
Welcome to the trough.
Come on in.
What are your thoughts as far as like format of the show? Like, do you want it to just be the two of us like discussing a topic or whatever's on our mind? Do you want to do interviews with people? What are some things that you want to explore with this?
I feel like we should just do whatever. I don't really feel like we need to have a format.
Okay.
I feel like we could just turn on the microphones and just go. And if we want to talk about, I mean, if we want to do like 4 or 5 like serialized episodes dealing with something, we could do that. If we want to have a guest, we can do that.
Yeah, I like that. Right on. Just kind of an open format show. Cool.
Just do like whatever the vibe is that week.
Right on. What is this energy right now? What is it like specifically in the last couple days? Is it just Pisces?
In the last couple days, like for me, I felt like it's been a turning point to where this energy was unpleasant. Now I kind of feel like I'm starting to get used to it. I was listening to a tarot reading yesterday, and one of the things they said at the beginning of the reading was, like, don't be afraid of the energy, jump into it. And I was like, why did I not even think of that? Why did I not think of to just jump into whatever this is? Like, we want something new, right? Like, we're tired of the old way, and then we get this new energy that comes in, and we're like all recoiling from it.
Yeah, I have been just kind of like trying to write it out, but wallowing in it is an option. Like, just getting in it, you know?
Yeah, just jump in it. Like, there's new energy out there, and if we don't dive into it, we're not going to figure out like what this new energy is powering. I mean, I don't think it's just here as an accident or for no reason. Like,
yeah.
And it definitely feels like there's a lot of energy in this energy. That makes sense.
That's true. Like, for me right now, the energy I'm feeling is one of just like tired of waiting, tired of playing the wait and see game.
Yeah.
Like, it feels like a time of action in my life right now.
I was feeling that way for a long time too. Like, if I just like exist for the next 2 or 3 months, then it'll change. But like, reality doesn't change. It's us that changes, or nothing changes.
I was watching a tarot reading last night too. I think it was 7D Tarot on YouTube, and it was really hitting for me. It was talking about how like this time period is about being as authentic as possible. Like that's what it was, like a Scorpio tarot for the month of March, you know? And it was like, you know, you need to be authentic. Like, the universe is going to reward authentic energy. And so I'm trying to figure out what that authenticity is for me right now.
How funny is it that we have to think about how to be authentic?
Ooh,
I think that's the first problem right there, is how do I be authentic? I think, like, I was starting to get into Carlos Castaneda for a while.
Who is Carlos Castaneda? Who is that?
He was a Mexican-American from earlier in the century who had like a bunch of spiritual books that he wrote. And to me, one of the most interesting things that he got into was he talked about how like this reality and all realities are just dreams, and how we can kind of just move through them fluidly. And
Well, kind of like how deep into like esoterica do we want to go? Like, do you want to talk about like any of your current like esoteric experiences?
Yeah, we could talk about whatever. Like, some of this shit is like so difficult to talk about because I feel like once I integrate something, it just feels natural, and I just don't even know like what's weird or what's interesting and what's like normal. Like, it all just kind of feels normal to me now.
Like when you say it all, like what are some things that you think maybe a year ago would have seemed strange to you that are just commonplace at this point?
A year ago?
I feel like a year ago, both of us were fairly different individuals.
Yeah, I mean that's pre-Hask.
Yeah, pre-camp. Yep.
Yeah, I mean camp was definitely a portal.
Yes, absolutely. And it will be again this year.
Jesus, where the hell are we going to be a year from now?
I think it's actually taking place during the Lionsgate portal this year.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
I don't even know what a Lionsgate is, which is probably not good, but I hear people say it all the time, and I'm like, oh shit, we're going through a Lionsgate. Nice.
Isn't Lionsgate a like film production company?
Yeah, they bit that shit off. I don't know what it actually is. Like it's probably got something to do with Leo, I would imagine. Something transiting Leo or something. If I had to venture a guess.
I'm looking it up. Lionsgate portal, what it means in astrology. All right. Thank you, New York Post. Actually, don't thank the New York Post. Let's see. Meaning of the Lionsgate's portal. The power of the Lionsgate lies in this cosmic energy between stars, signs, and numbers, but the term itself refers to the annual alignment between the sun and Leo and Sirius. There we go.
Sense. Sirius is interesting. That's where the dog people are from that never showed up like 2 months ago.
I remember that. Wasn't there? They were supposed to like show up on like a hill somewhere, weren't they?
Yeah, like good boys, but they were bad boys and they never showed up.
Well, they did show up and nobody was there to greet them. I can't remember. There's somebody who said they were going to go out to the site where it was supposed to happen, but
4chan lets us down again.
It's also a 4chan thread. So
literally probably like CIA.
Right. Yeah.
I think people are going to be kind of shocked when they realize just like how much of this reality is constructed by the CIA, especially in ufology.
Yeah.
Like I feel like I could pick like 7 people from ufology that are clear CIA plants.
Yeah, who do you think's a plant right now? Besides, I think everybody's a plant of some kind, but
I struggle with names. George Knapp is the guy from the Las Vegas TV show, right? TV station. Yes. He's 100% CIA. Jeremy Corbell. Oh yeah, beyond any shadow of a doubt. He was on TV in the 90s talking about UFOs. You don't get to do that unless you're allowed to do that. Him for sure.
I mean, he could just be a you know?
Yeah, I don't know if he knows, but he is. Whether or not he knows. I don't think everybody who's working for the CIA necessarily knows they're being used, but
yeah,
I feel like he probably knows.
You said Jeremy Corbell too?
Yeah, Jeremy Corbell for sure. He knows all the CIA people, the Tom DeLonges, the George Knapps.
How about that Into the Stars thing? Like they just took down their whole website and all that's there now is a merch site for Into the Stars.
I never really followed him because he just felt very fake to me, so I never really paid attention too much to him.
I get a theory that Tom DeLonge and the whole Into the Stars thing was there for soft disclosure of some kind of technology that we're just gonna find out about now, so they don't matter anymore. Like some things move too quickly, and that part of the plan just got scrapped.
Yeah, that kind of reminds me of when we were watching Contact. That was another plan for disclosure. Because I remember Yeah, like no, the way they did it in the movie, like that was a plan that they had for disclosure. Like they've known about aliens since like probably like the 30s or the 40s.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, like they literally wanted to have it seem like they found some alien signal and there was something coding in the signal. Because I remember in 2011, somebody linked me to a document on the NSA's website where they literally said that. They said, we found a transmission from an alien planet. It's coded. Nobody's decoded it. And then they just like published this transmission. And I looked at it and I was like, I don't fucking know anything about decoding. I'm sure somebody will figure this out. But I was like, shit, here's disclosure. They're disclosing. Like, I'm sure this will be all over the news at any moment.
Is this like a wow signal type thing? Or
No, it was like they said it was an alien signal and that there was a message coded in it, but that nobody's decoded it. And then they published like all the bullshit.
how have I never heard about this? On the NSA's website?
Yeah, it was in 2011. And I thought like, oh shit, here's disclosure now. Like, and I'll hear about this. And I've never heard anything about it since.
I've never even heard of it. That's wild.
Yeah, so I feel like they just have had all these ideas for disclosure and they just haven't caught on or they haven't really pushed it. Like, I don't know. Disclosure is weird because I feel like it's already here and has been here. So I'm not really sure what people are waiting for or what people expect disclosure to be.
Yeah. I don't know. On the Panda Pod, I said that I wouldn't believe it. Well, somebody said I wouldn't believe it until an alien is interviewed on Joe Rogan. And I specifically said I won't believe it if an alien is only interviewed on Joe Rogan. But like, I do think that's what people are waiting for. Like, they need to actually see it. You know?
Even the concept of like alien, like what is, like there is no such thing as alien. Like there is nothing from outside. Like it's all one thing. So how can anything be alien? Like the whole concept is kind of like falling apart. Like the more we learn about the actual nature of reality.
Yeah, that is true.
And then add on top of it, the aliens were literally here before us. So how can they be alien if they were here first?
True.
It's all weird.
Yeah. I'm very big on the interdimensional idea as well.
Yeah.
Like that just
Which I wasn't. I used to hate that, but now it's like that kind of just seems like that's actually what it is.
Yeah. I do think that there are extraterrestrial, like there is extraterrestrial life as well. Like I find it very hard to believe that there aren't other planets as well with shit going on. But there's definitely something that is here and has been here for as long as we have, at least.
Yeah, there's definitely like physical aliens out there on planets, but I feel like those aliens are probably not that interesting because I don't think they're too much different than us in like intelligence. I think they probably have better technology because their governments haven't been lying to them their entire lives. They're probably more spiritual and have some better technology, but they're not like anything that would blow our minds, I feel. Like I think the beings that would blow our minds are like the deities and the extra dimensionals and the demons and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Not blow our minds, but blow people's minds.
Our minds. Like, you know, forever. You know. So much so that people who have seen them and reported them are just considered to be insane. You know.
There's more of that propaganda. If you see something real and just put you in a fucking mental hospital until you stop seeing that, or just say that you stop seeing that. Pump drugs into you.
But the American mental health system is atrocious.
How's the mental health in the Amazon and like the Aborigines or up in the Nepal mountains?
It's a good question.
They have Prozac up there?
They get constant sunshine, you know.
That high on altitude.
Yeah. Altitude and vitamin D.
Yeah, I think about that a lot. Like all the people here that are on these psychoactive drugs that they call mood stabilizers, like we've existed for, I mean, I think we've existed for probably millions of years, but conventional people think what humanity is like 5,000-10,000 years old.
Yeah.
We survived all that time without these pills, but now suddenly we need these pills to keep our brains happy, functioning.
Yeah,
And
better
still,
living through science, man.
yeah, I don't buy that shit for a second.
Yeah, I don't either. I did for a long time.
Yeah.
You know, I was real caught up in the mental health system for a long time.
Yeah, I mean, they program us to think we literally need these pharmaceutical companies to survive. But now we're in a new age.
It's true.
New energy. And we're fighting it.
Yeah. Well, the age of Aquarius is going to be, it is intense so far. It's such a powerful transition, you know, moving away from that Piscean, like, masculine energy, the pushing energy that we've been putting out there for, what, thousands of years now.
Is Pisces energy masculine?
I don't know for sure if it is or not. I definitely consider the last age that we were in, the Piscean age, to be a masculine age. I see it to be an age dominated by the mind, whereas I see that the Aquarian age is going to be dominated by the heart and the spirit.
It's weird that it goes backwards. Or compared to like the month astrology, it goes backwards. Is time moving forwards or backwards? I can't tell. Is it supposed to be Aquarius, then Pisces, right? Because we just had Aquarius season, now it's Pisces season.
Yeah, I don't know how that rotation moves.
It's like moving in two different directions.
Yeah, okay, so, yeah, I'm looking at a list of the ages now. Yeah, I guess that makes sense. It goes like thousands of years at a time. Like, the Piscean age was from, 1 AD to now.
Is it like over? Like, are we in Aquarius?
We're in that transition phase. Technically, I think the Piscean age ends in like 2150 or something like that. But we're in
so it's not actually over.
Yeah, we're in that transition window. Yeah, we're in the cusp right now, if you will.
Yeah, apparently this is an important time. Like, you think about the way that we grew up in a time where pretty much everybody's reality from our generation and the couple generations prior was constructed by TV.
Yeah.
Like, all of our experiences were just so homogenous because we were all plugged into like the same 20 TV channels.
Yeah, it's really interesting when you get to talking to somebody that you've never met who's around your same age, just how many shared memories you end up having with them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this generation's not going to have that because everybody's got like their own person that they're following on YouTube or TikTok or Twitter. Like,
right. Yeah, everybody's algorithm is so individualized.
And I think that's honestly like the way it's supposed to be. We were never supposed to have these like celebrities and TV stars that like everybody was forced to stare at.
Right.
Like, it's just weird. And now our generation, like, there's going to be a generation that grows up without any of this propaganda. And I kind of feel like it's our generation's job to kind of be the people who cultivate that new generation.
Yeah.
So we're going to be the change.
I think that Gen Z is going to be a bigger part of that cultivation. I feel like we are unfortunately just kind of the buffer spot in between that. Like, I feel like Gen X and millennials are just kind of in the wash in between the two transitions. Like, talking to a Zoomer or like a Gen A kid, like they just look at the world so differently than we did.
I'm not even sure what a Zoomer is. Are Zoomers like in their 20s? Like, what is a Zoomer?
Yeah, Gen Z would be like people who are like 17 and up right now. Like, I think Gen A, the cutoff is actually like 12 at the moment or something. So like Gen A is like really small. It would be like high school 20-somethings are the Gen Zs right now.
Man, I don't think I've talked to too many of them, so I don't even know like what's going on in that brain cell.
Well, I mean, you talked to like Paige, for instance. I feel like she's a great example of an awake Zoomer, you know? Like she grew up in that extremely post 9/11 world, you know?
Yeah.
That extremely online world. And I don't know, seeing her is really inspiring to me. Like it gives me a lot of hope, like that we're gonna have really good independent thinkers, you know?
Yeah, it's that coming back to expression and individuality.
I also worry about reading, like their ability to read though, not pages, thankfully, but like Gen A, like I've been reading some articles and some comments by teachers talking about how bad the reading situation is right now for kids. Like they changed something about the way they teach reading and like language comprehension that just did not work. And unfortunately, we've got this like group of like kids where for 10 years they were taught this bizarre way to learn how to read, where instead of phonics and learning how to like, you know, understand each individual word, they're supposed to look for keywords in a sentence and then figure out what the sentence means via context. Very strange.
Yeah, also probably on purpose.
Yeah, definitely on
But
purpose.
also probably going to completely backfire on them, since books and all this media shit is part of how you propagandize to people. So
right,
if you
yeah,
teach
that is
people
true.
to not be able to consume your propaganda, you're kind of shooting yourself in the foot. And it's like, that's the thing with like Lemuria and Atlantis. Like the reason why we don't find a lot is because they didn't need books. They didn't need TV. They didn't need computers. It was all consciousness for them. And we're going back to that. Like,
Yeah.
people not being able to read is not going to be some society ending thing. It's going to be better for society that people aren't staring at screens or looking at fucking pages of something that somebody else wrote. We're going to be out there having our own experiences and then telepathically sharing those experiences losslessly with people. Like, we're not going to need this old fucking technology. Like, that fucking pisses me off so much. Like, I tell people I don't read, and then like they look at me like I'm some uncultured, dirty, unwashed person who's just, I can't believe you don't read. Dude, there's better shit than reading. Excuse me if there's better technology. I don't need to be staring at a page for 3 hours a day. There's other ways to consume information now.
I mean, I do think that this is something I was discussing with some other friends about how we are on the very beginning of learning how to disseminate information in the age that we're in the technology age. Like, we're trying to figure out the best ways of disseminating information.
You mean discernment or?
No, like actual dissemination, like getting information out to people.
Yeah.
You know, like for years and years, books and letters and spoken word were the only options. And then all of a sudden we have all of this technology that allows for, you know, instantaneous communication and the sharing of knowledge. And, you know, I think some people look at the technology we have now and look at like, you know, websites and, you know, Wikipedia and things like that and go, oh, we've done such a great job, you know, collecting our information. But this is like the pre-beta of how information actually will be disseminated and shared and used and consumed in the future. Like we're not going to be doing it this way for very long. And I think a lot of people can get hung up on the like ways in which our current ways of disseminating information doesn't work, and they just give up instead of trying to figure out new ways to do it. I wish I could remember the context in which I was having that conversation, because there was more to it that I just cannot remember right now. But I don't know. It was relevant in some way to what we're talking about.
I don't think we're a buffer. I think we're a transition. Like, we're the ones transitioning this stuff. And that is like, I feel like we need to give ourselves credit for how difficult and how important it is, especially if you look at like these older generations and how they just didn't make any effort to further human progress, really.
Right. Yeah. Well,
Like
that
a
goes
lot
back
of
to
these,
earlier about the comfort stuff.
yeah,
You
like
know?
we're doing like the hardest job, maybe one of the hardest jobs that there's ever been to do. Like, most planets are not like Earth. Like, Earth is literally a fucking runaway hellscape. Like, if you believe in hell, like this is it. Like, there's no dimension where you go to burn in a lake of fire like it's Earth. Like, Earth is like, our bodies are literally burning. We give off heat. When you work too hard, it's called burning the candle at both ends. We burn our calories. Like, I kind of feel like the whole idea of hell is based on this place, and it's even coded into the language. Like, this is as close to hell as it gets, and we're here to spruce up hell, basically. That's what I think.
Yeah, I guess buffer wasn't a great way to like phrase that. Like, I think we are the beta testers for this transition period, really.
And the
like,
coders.
Yeah. Well, some of us are the coders. I don't feel like much of a coder in this reality. Like, I feel like I'm really, at least right now in my life, just because of where I am and like how poorly things are going for me, I feel like I'm really just along for the ride. But maybe I do need to embrace that coder mentality.
Well, you're always coding. Like, even if you're not aware that you're coding, you're always creating your reality. So it's always, I don't know. I don't really know how, like, we're all making our own reality, but we're also in this reality together. So I'm not exactly sure how, like, the seams match up, but we are all creating, and then it just kind of comes together somehow.
Yeah. I feel like that energy is a lot more palpable when we're all together. I've said that a bunch of times.
Yeah.
But like when we're all physically together, I really do feel like we are actively creating reality around us. And I get that we're all doing that individually. It just feels so much more powerful when we're all together with our little
it's supercharged and we're all there. It's like it just happens instantly. Like, something that would maybe take like a week to get done back home will just happen in minutes when there's like 20 of us in a house.
Yeah. Yeah. Speaking of that, how do we get to that?
Get to being in a house together?
Yeah.
I think that, I mean, for me, it's to move to Indiana.
Yeah.
That's my next step.
I think that's going to be me and Ellie's next step as well.
Yeah. So it's just, we're all coding our own experience. So we're just choosing, where do you want to be? Some rapper said this. I can't remember who. I think it was somebody from the Wu-Tang Clan. He said, I go where I'm celebrated, not where I'm tolerated.
I like that.
Yeah, I've been thinking about that a lot lately. Like, I'm sitting here living at this house with like a bunch of family, but it's like I feel way more like understood and accepted around my friends than I do in this house. Like, being in this house feels like almost like being in enemy territory somehow.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, definitely looking forward to being around people where we're celebrated instead of people are just like, oh yeah, you're here. That's nice.
Yeah, that whole tolerated thing has been a like creeping negative thought in the back of my head for a long time.
And again, programming and propaganda, what are we taught? Tolerance is good. You need to tolerate each other. Really?
Yeah.
We need to tolerate each other? That's as good as we can aspire, is to tolerate.
Right. I feel like Jessa was kind of talking about that in her recent AOD episode, that Ugg Love Part 2. Did you listen to that?
Yeah, it was a good episode.
It was really good.
A lot of that fiery energy from right now is in there too.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. I need to go back and listen to that for the third time because I feel like the first 2 times I listened to it, I got something new out of it each time.
Yeah, I was tripping balls when I watched it, so I should probably watch it again sober. Probably be a different experience.
Yeah. I suppose that's another thing we could talk about on this podcast is our psychedelic experience and psychedelia in general. I don't really give a shit who knows that I do psychedelics, you know?
Yeah, I don't really
be an issue for me at some point in my life that people, like, I'm so open about it. But at the same time, like, I just don't care. Like, I have benefited so much from them that I just feel like proselytizing them, you know?
And what is it going to do? Like, filter me from people whose opinions I literally don't give a fuck about anyways?
Yeah.
Like, if you're staunchly anti-psychedelic, like, I honestly don't know, like, how much we have to talk about.
Yeah.
If you're the kind of person that judges people for psychedelics, like, I don't know. I don't know how much I have to learn from you.
I feel like the only people who judge psychedelics are people that have never done psychedelics.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, except for maybe, like, our friend Charles at work, Charles. Like, he doesn't judge it, you know, he's not judgy about it, but he has had a very intense psychedelic experience that he didn't like, and he just won't touch him anymore, you know? And, like, I know some people like that, but even then they respect the medicine, you know?
Yeah. And there's like I think there's a certain amount of maturity you need to have before you get to them. And I think if you get to them before you have that, you're probably going to have a bad experience.
Oh yeah. They broke me the first couple times I used. Yeah. Just absolutely destroyed me.
I didn't even get into this stuff until like camp, basically.
Yeah. Yeah. I started with psychedelics when I was 30, which is kind of late into the game for a lot of the people that I've talked to since.
Yeah, but I mean, how much of them are really like integrating those experiences when you're like 15 and you're taking LSD?
Yeah, I feel like it's just a wild, crazy good time.
Yeah.
At that point. And that's all I was looking for when I first tried them, you know? Like, I didn't expect what they would do to me, or how they would change me. Like, acid in particular. Like, I had no clue just how much of like a truth serum LSD would be for me. Like, it would make me see myself so fully and not let me look away. It was scary.
Yeah, psychedelics do that a lot.
Yeah.
Like, they just shine a spotlight on something.
And they're like, okay, acid in particular for me. For mushrooms, I feel like my thoughts will float to whatever the mushrooms want me to think about. And like, I feel like they've got an agenda. But the acid, like, it's just purely my subconscious, like, looking at something and being like, okay, well, we're looking at this right now, and we're going to look at it until we figure it out.
That's interesting. Usually, for me, LSD is kind of like more free roaming. I don't think it's ever like highlighted something for me, but I definitely have had that with mushrooms. Yeah.
Now, you've never had visuals, though, either, right?
No, I've never had, like, crazy visuals. I've had, like, the waviness and the breathing, but I've never, like, seen, like, some fucking flower talking to me or some crazy shit.
It's interesting once you get to that point.
Yeah. But the most I've ever taken is, like, 2 tabs, so.
Yeah.
I don't know if you need to take more than that to get to visuals.
Some people do, some people don't. You know, everybody's brain chemistry is a little different.
Yeah.
Like you and I have mutual friends that we both know who somehow can take like a half a tab of acid and trip their balls off, you know? for me though, like I don't really get any visuals until I hit like the 4 or 5 tab level.
Yeah, maybe you just need to go crazy. Just take a strip, see what the fuck happens.
Yeah, I mean, I did that. The last 2 New Years, I've done that. I've done a strip of acid both New Years. It's very interesting. I feel like there's you hit a plateau as far as like the crazy thinking goes.
Yeah.
Like you plateau on that, and then anything you lay on top of that is just gonna like distort your reality a bit in some way. Or I don't know if distort's the right way to say it. It's gonna reveal some things about your reality. It's gonna peel back layers, let you see deeper and deeper.
How would you explain like what psychedelics offers to somebody who's never done psychedelics before?
A level of self-reflection that you probably didn't know you were capable of.
Yeah, it's almost like the reason we have 2 eyes is so that we have that like interpolation. So you get that depth perception because you have like 2 points of observation. And I kind of feel like that's what psychedelics do with consciousness. It gives you another point of view to look at yourself and to look at reality from. And then you just get this like extra perception of depth that you're not going to have otherwise.
I think I'm on a little break from psychedelics right now, though.
Yeah, I think those are important.
Yeah.
Especially you when you're going like 5 or 10 tabs deep.
Yeah, I can go a little overboard. I shouldn't say overboard. Like everybody's tolerance levels are different.
Yeah.
You know, and it's
I can't
important.
even imagine that.
But
Did you actually do 10 tabs at one point?
yeah.
I can't even.
Yeah, the last 2 New Years in a row, I've done 10 tabs.
Oh, man.
New Year's. Yeah. It's interesting. There's like some really fun, like obviously really fun visuals, like the world looks amazing. And then there's like this time period of like super clarity I get. And then the rest of the trip, which is the majority of the trip, is my brain just unable to process any information. Like unable to like take any information in. Like if I go and I just like lay down in bed and close my eyes and let myself like feel and think, I can like get some good processing done. But it's more fun at that level of psychedelia to just keep your eyes open and walk around and look at how crazy the world is.
Honestly, my favorite aspect of tripping is just like being in bed or somewhere comfortable and just like chilling.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I did a 10-gram mushroom trip once, where I just laid in bed the whole time, just rolling around in bed, laughing and crying, and talking to this light that appeared above my door that I assumed was the universe, and had a very good long conversation with it.
It's a way to do it. Hot tubs are good too. Just anywhere that's warm is nice to trip.
Yeah, cozy.
Going back to authenticity, I think the more authentic we are, the more we're going to unlock psychic abilities, because I think you don't have connection unless it's like 100% real, authentic emotion. I think that's the only thing that gets transmitted like mind to mind. I don't think you can transmit like fake made up words, but you can transmit like authentic emotion. So I think like the more we get into that, the more, what we're calling the brain cell right now, which is just like people kind of having the same thoughts and thinking of each other and stuff before we actually make contact. I think the more we become authentic, the more we're going to be able to tap into that.
I like that. That's an interesting idea, because it does feel like in those moments of like ease and authenticity and comfort with my fellow, I'm just going to say aliens, in those moments, those are when I feel the most like connected on that psychic level for sure.
Yeah, and there's like no, like when we're all together, I don't think anybody's pretending to be anything that they're not. Like it's all just kind of, everybody is just existing as themselves at the level that they're at.
Right. And when somebody's there who isn't on that level, it is just so obvious. I just mean like even like at like camp, like the pockets of people that tended to form last year, it seemed like those were people who were just being authentic and real with each other. And like there were a few people at camp that like just kind of were on the peripheral of everything, you know?
I'm not even sure if that was me. I kind of feel like I might have been one of the people on the peripheral at camp.
You were a little bit on the peripheral at camp, but you were just feeling things out, you know?
Yeah.
I get that.
Like I feel like by the end of camp, I was starting to settle. Like, I don't know. I kind of felt the same way in Vegas, and then the same way in Orlando. Like it just takes time for some of us, or for me, to settle into that energy.
Yeah.
Like when we did, or like at Orlando specifically, like when we first got in and everybody like greeted us with hello, like I was just like, all right, this is way too much for me. Like I had to go up to my room and like meditate for like 20 minutes just to like settle into that energy.
Yeah.
And the whole time I was just like, why the fuck am I up here like meditating when everybody is down there having fun? And I was actually having like a hard time just like settling my mind down, getting into the meditation, and like kind of getting my energy to a place where I could just like exist in that environment. But after like 20, 25 minutes doing that, I was good and able to just like chill out and hang. But I do feel like there's kind of like, you got to get your energy to that vibration to be able to just connect and exist with people authentically.
Yeah, I think that nailed it on the head there, is that it's a vibrational thing. Like when
Yeah.
we're not all together, we are all settling into our own vibrations or the vibrations of our, you know, surroundings and the people that we're around. And, you know, when we all get together, it takes a little bit of time for that humming to all sync up. But once it does, it feels great. It feels so good.
Should we like, is there an event at camp where like that's the whole point, is to like get everybody on the same vibe? Should we do that on like one of the first days?
Yeah, like a day one like sound bowl thing with Rick to like literally get the same vibration. Because like the last day when we did that sound bowl, like before we all left, that was so nice. That was so pleasant.
Yeah, we should like start and end it with that, I think.
Yeah, I agree. That's a good call. It's a very
even
good
when
call.
we do our meetups, like it's just, for me anyways, like I just need, I mean, I feel like at this house or just like in my everyday life, there's just like so many, I don't know, like masks or just like withholding, and then you just got to get used to actually connecting with people, I think.
Even in Orlando, I feel like things really clicked into space after Rick did that first sound bowl thing.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot going.
Yeah, there was a lot going on. It's true. But like that first night or that first day that he was there, that he busted out the sound bowl and started playing, and we were all just sitting around vocalizing together.
Yeah, that was
really powerful.
That was one of those things too, where like in the moment it was like so profound and it was like this crazy experience. And now thinking back on it, it's almost dreamlike. It's like, did that really happen?
And then, well, maybe that's like the danger of being out of it for too long. It starts to feel strange again. You know, you look back at it and you're like, well, I'm not vibrating right this moment like I was then, so that feels weird. Thinking about that feels weird.
Yeah, but
Not
also, feel like we're never doing anything wrong. Like we're always exactly where we're supposed to be doing what we're supposed to be doing.
Yeah, on like a cosmic level, I definitely believe that everything's going to happen exactly as like in the only way that it can happen. You know.
Yeah, this is something that I kind of was getting some guidance on early from spirit, like literally within the last few days. I don't know if you have this, but I kind of had this idea where I'm not spiritually progressing unless I'm actually doing something. I don't know if you feel that same way. Like I'm not spiritually progressing unless I'm meditating or doing magic or studying or listening to a podcast about some new spiritual technique that I've never heard of before. But something my guides are telling me was like, you're literally, every day that you survive on Earth, you're progressing. Like you're always moving forward and more of you is always coming through.
Yeah.
Like there's more Jeff here today than there was Jeff yesterday. Like that just naturally happens. The longer you're on the planet, the more of yourself you're bringing through. It's like we don't have to be as active as we think we need to be. Like we literally just need to be here and we can do whatever we want to do. Like there's no requirement for awakening for us. Like just,
Right.
we're not fucking anything up.
Yeah, I think I came to a very similar conclusion like about a little over a year ago of like I am going to keep growing no matter what I'm doing. You know?
Yeah.
Although I do feel like I definitely have moments and days where I feel especially tapped in, and in those days I am usually actively working on my practices of some kind, you know?
Yeah, it is nice to have like moments of like feeling powerful and
Yeah.
being able to do stuff.
That I think was the biggest thing about psychedelics for me, was the realization of the power within myself.
Yeah.
Like I felt that instantly when I first started doing acid. I had tastes of it in my younger life, like my early 20s, when I played around with like salvia and like unfortunately spice when it was around.
Yeah.
Like I would catch like little glimpse of that, but I mean those are so temporary and intense. Like salvia in particular is just so intense that I don't know, it was hard to make any real sense of what was happening.
Yeah, those salvia trips look pretty wild.
Salvia is fun. Like it's an interesting experience. Maybe on another episode I'll talk about my salvia experiences, but when I first took acid and I was sitting on the floor in my hallway staring at the staircase as it wiggled around, and I realized that there's no way I can make it down those steps, I decided to just lay down and on the ground and stare at the ceiling. And when I did that, I started to feel this like pocket of energy in my belly just grow and like slowly emanate this like radiating like light kind of feeling throughout my whole body. And that was the first time that I really, really realized, I was like, oh, there is something inside of me. There is some kind of power inside of me that has always been there and has always been available for me to tap into, that I haven't ever like recognized or, nurtured and grown. And if I could take the time to do that, maybe there's something more to it, Yeah,
just having that like perception of our own energy is such a big deal for our generation. I think if we do our job right, like kids are just going to be like having those experiences when they're like 4 and 5 instead of like when they're 30. And can you imagine like what the world's going to look like when kids are just like grown up, just knowing all this stuff, and they actually get to like create their own worlds? Like they're going to be 17, 18, becoming adults and just like being able to make and be whatever they want. Like that's gonna be like the most interesting thing to me is like 20 years from now, what is the world gonna look like when the kids today are like adults?
Yeah.
Just like, we talk about all like the corruption and the government and the CIA, and they are cocksuckers that have been ruining the planet for like the last 50 years. But I am actually very optimistic about the future because I think our generation is going to do the job that all the generations previous to us should have done. And I think we are doing it. And it's the reason why everything is the way it is now. And, everybody seems to think something's going to happen in that April spring period. So we're going to find out.
Yeah, it's coming up soon in like a month.
Yeah, I've been feeling that.
Feeling that things really pick up steam after the eclipse.
When's the eclipse?
April 8th.
Yeah, that's the time period.
Yeah. I'm going to try to be in Indy for it because totality goes right over Indianapolis.
What's totality?
Where the sun is like completely eclipsed.
It's going to be in Indiana?
Yeah, it's going right over Indianapolis.
Out of everywhere it could be, it's going to be in Indiana.
Yeah, it's going right over basically the entirety of Indiana. Yeah.
We need to start planning a meetup in Indiana for April 8th, I think.
I agree.
When is April 8th? I need to look at a calendar.
Monday, unfortunately. Yeah. Pretty sure.
Let's see. Yeah, it is a Monday. But I mean, you do a long weekend. We get there on the 4th. You stay till the 8th.
Mm-hmm.
Or the 9th.
Yeah.
You have to stay to the 9th because your flight's going to be at like fucking 2 a.m. on Tuesday.
Right. Well, I'll drive. Like, it's only like a 6-hour drive to Indy from Birmingham, so it's not too bad.
Yeah, we need to start posting in the meetup thread, like literally when we're done with this podcast.
Yeah, it's a good call. Go lay in a field and stare at the eclipse with our friends.
Hell
Sounds
yeah.
really great.
Surrounded by corn.
There's more than corn in Indiana, baby.
Prove it.
Right on. Well,
how much time have we done?
We're at 1 hour and 6 minutes right now.
God
we
damn.
did it. We filled the time.
Easy game.
Yeah, I think we covered a lot of topics that we'll be talking about in more depth in the future as well, which is nice.
I don't know if you're going to be able to make a coherent episode out of this. I kind of feel like we're all over the place, but it is what it is.
It's okay. It can be all over the place. I feel like the first episode of a lot of podcasts are all over the place.
Yeah.
That's okay. We're just getting our voices out there. It's the start of something new.
It wasn't terrible for a first episode. Somebody actually might be able to listen to that and get something out of it, I feel.
Maybe. Or at the very least, they'll know how crazy we are and whether or not we're their brand of crazy.
Yeah, they'll know who to avoid at the next hot alien summer camp.
Yeah. I can't wait for camp, man.
Yeah, I do. I can't wait. I don't even... Just the next meetup. I am a little bit like... No, I feel like everyone works so much at camp that like we don't really get to hang out that much. Like that was kind of my experience last year at camp. I was like, I wasn't on the planning committee and all my friends were like running camp and I was just like, just chilling most of the time. It was weird. I was like, I definitely need to be a part of the thing next year because I kind of feel like I'm just standing around.
Yeah.
I don't know. It was weird.
Well, you're on the committee this year. So let's get it.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Let's make a thing.
Hot Alien Summer Camp 2024, August 8th through 11th. Come join us, everybody. And I think we'll catch everyone on the next one.
Later.